Let's talk about some Steven Spielberg.
Ooh,
That's a close pick.
That's a beautiful picture.
Kind of looks like Gandhi there.
Kind of. So we're going to talk about Steven Spielberg, his early years, some of the work that he did. So I want to flip through a couple pictures
Okay.
to help us get a visualization before we get into some of his information. So this is the movie that he's coming out with in about a year, next year. No, this year. It's coming out soon.
For real?
Yeah, I think it's coming out soon. The Fablemans?
November.
I think it's November. So it's roughly based on Steven Spielberg's life, you know, getting into his career, his early days of finding his love for film. You know what I mean?
Do you know, is it going to be on anything or is it just going straight to theaters?
I'm assuming it's going straight to theaters. Typically his stuff does. I don't know anything that goes to a streaming platform.
I mean, West Side Story went to a platform.
True.
Maybe it will. We'll see. But this is him when he was younger. First off, that forehead. Though.
That forehead goes all the way up. You got that Frankenstein forehead.
Look at that hairline.
If he had two bolts coming out of the side of his I wouldn't. All right, well, I'm not going to keep making fun of the
He would have
kid.
been well casted.
Yeah.
Well casted, a little Frankenstein kid.
Mm-hmm. Somebody stretched that image they had, too. That ain't his real forehead.
That's a pretty rough.
That's probably his
That's a pretty rough
haircut
as well.
Yeah, the haircut doesn't help.
Mm-hmm. And then this is
Megamind.
This is when he was getting into some productions. And we'll talk about these different periods of time.
Woo!
Yeah, heck yeah, dude. Jaws. Now, Jaws played a bigger role in his career than I even realized.
Yeah.
Jaws played a really big role in his career. And got him with George Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all the pictures I have. This is him today. So, with that in mind, I'm going to switch over. Let's get into some of the details of Steven's life. First off, he was born in Ohio, December 1946. He's older than my pa.
Why? There's so many people that came out of Ohio. Like, I feel like the entertainment industry is saturated with the people from Ohio.
Ohioans?
Have you heard of people from Ohio?
Yeah, Dave Chappelle.
From Ohio.
The 21 Pilots.
Yeah, there's a lot of people from Ohio for some reason.
Tony Hinchcliffe.
People live in Ohio, I guess.
You don't hear anybody from, like,
People live
Kansas?
in Ohio, I guess.
No,
You don't hear anybody from Kansas getting
no, you're right.
into the entertainment
Yeah, it
industry.
usually is Ohio.
Oh, gosh.
Gosh.
Oh,
gosh.
Look, Steven Spielberg. So, he was the oldest of 4 children, and I believe he only had sisters. His father, Arnold, was an electrical engineer, okay? And then his mother, Leah, she was a concert pianist, and it appears that she was doted upon him. She's very encouraging of Steven's passions, Steven's affairs. You know, his hobbies, his trinkets, things of that nature. They moved around a lot. I believe they ended up in, what was it, California? San Diego, California? Maybe it's down here. I briefly read this earlier. However,
It looked like it said Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley, did it?
Yeah.
I see Silicon Valley right there. Emerging bedroom communities of what would be known as Silicon Valley.
Yes,
near
yes.
San Jose,
San
California.
Jose, not San Diego, San Jose, California. All right, so that's kind of where they moved around a good bit, and he lived in like New Jersey, he lived in Phoenix, different places. What? No, okay,
We're not advertising Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, this is an article. I can't help it. They're gonna keep pushing us with little pop-ups. So learning the camera. That's what the name of this section of the article is. This is actually really interesting because Steven, I think when he was, so let's see, 1952, he saw his first film in theater, The Greatest Show on Earth, which was a 1952 circus epic.
Ooh.
And
Can I give a little information? It might be in here, might not be, but the Escape to Nowhere, a 40-minute about war. I actually watched it was behind the scenes, I'm pretty sure, for E.T., but it was kind of going into Steven's life, and it showed me black and white. It was like black and white footage of him making this and stuff.
That's very cool.
He did a really cool, I'm pretty sure we talked about it on this podcast before, where he would take small planks of wood, fill it with dirt on one end, and then
Yeah.
they would step on it, and it looked like
It was a makeshift explosion.
it was sick.
So what Josh was referring to is when Steven was 13 years old, he between 12 and 13, he created a film called Escape to Nowhere that was 40 minutes long, and it was a war film. And then his next film was a little bit more ambitious. It was a full feature length sci-fi movie called Firelight, and it was 140 minutes long. This is teens.
Yeah.
So he was 13 with Escape to Nowhere, and then 3 years later, so what? That's 16? He does a 140-minute film.
I wonder what he read as a child.
To get into
like
film?
what books and
Like
stuff?
what book? Because he's clearly inspired by like a lot of sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
I'd
And
be
war
curious to see
What year was he born?
What
again?
he read.
What year was he born?
I think 46.
46. So he was a teen in like.
Yep, 1946. So
It'd be a lot of real good sci-fi to read.
he when he came out with Escape to Nowhere, our dad was being born that year. So yes.
He's getting up there in age.
Anyways, so he was pretty early. It made me think, when I was listening to this, it made me think a lot about, I'm not comparing myself to Steven Spielberg. I would never dare.
No.
But there is something to, like, people who are interested in film usually find it really young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're usually, like, before they hit 10, are screwing around with cameras. A lot of times.
Yeah.
Somewhere
agree.
somewhere in between, like, 8 and 15, the great filmmakers are messing with cameras. So Peter Jackson did. You know what I mean? It's what I believe. I don't know if, who's the guy who did Pulp Fiction? I'm blanking on his name. Mr. I can't remember his name. What is his name, Joshua?
I've got it.
You're not gonna say?
No, I want Josh to figure it out.
He did Django.
I got it. Can you figure it out?
No.
I got it. All I had to do was Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
So Quentin Tarantino, I believe he said on the Joe Rogan podcast that his first experience with movie making wasn't him making movies, was rather him working in a movie store.
Like a Blockbuster.
Similar, but it was to buy movies, right?
Yeah.
And that's what he did, kind of like on Stranger Things, the most recent season where you got freaking.
Yeah, they were working in a Blockbuster.
Was it a Blockbuster?
It was
How old
essentially
is
a Blockbuster.
Blockbuster?
Yeah.
It was like a family movie or something.
But it was a rental place.
Yeah.
Movie rentals.
Movie rentals. That aside, Steven Spielberg got started super young, and what I'm surprised by that 140-minute film,
When he was.
And
That's crazy,
He likes movies about, it's usually kids that have a passion for something as kids.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, that he just
Super 8.
he really loves those movies about kids, because kids see the world in such a different way and experience things in a different way. I don't know. I don't know if he's trying to recapture something from his childhood or trying to share something from his childhood.
Yeah.
That's actually. I think it's probably sharing something, because he was bright-eyed and whimsical and had these dreams in his mind. As honestly, I think the big thing, I think, in the film that's coming out that we're going to notice is the support and the role that was played by his mom in his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His mom, Leah. So as Steven got older, he graduated high school, but he didn't do so well in high school.
Really?
He didn't do so well.
Yeah, me neither.
And so he wanted to go to, I think, a film class or a film institute. He wanted to go to UCLA. All right.
Okay.
And that stands for University of South California. He couldn't get in. So he went to California State College. That's
right.
Basically
Community college.
a kind of a community college. They had a bachelor's option for him. He got a bachelor's in writing, I believe. Let's see. BA in English. No, not writing. English.
Okay.
And from there, he continued to make films, though, and prepared a short subject. Amblin? Is that how you say that? Amblin, you think? Is that?
Yeah, Amblin.
So that was the name of a short he created. Now, Amblin kind of launched him in a big way.
Yeah.
Because Amblin, he submitted to some festivals. It says the Venice Film Festival, and got him a 7-year contract at studios.
Okay.
Now, this is the traditional route.
Right.
This is what we've always talked about, how, like, today
festivals?
this doesn't work.
Right.
This
Yeah, back in the day, you could do something like this.
This absolutely doesn't work anymore.
I mean, but the field is so saturated now that it's hard to go into a traditional film festival.
The field is so saturated that even the bad directors have gotten big Hollywood gigs.
That's true.
You know? I mean, how many directors are there working on stuff right now? Working on Marvel stuff,
Thousands.
working on Disney stuff, working on, Rings of Power or Game of Thrones or
The
Star
next Kevin
Wars,
Hart film.
Anything. Kevin Hart. There's so many directors now. It's like you can't just have the top tier people. And you never see the top tier people working on something like The Man from Toronto. You never see a Denis Villeneuve,
Yeah,
or
he's never
Steven
gonna do-
Spielberg working on The Man from Toronto.
Yeah,
You
or
know?
the other guys.
Or
with
the
Will
other
Ferrell.
guys, yeah. We kind of reserve the big names for good stuff,
Like Warhorse.
like Warhorse. Yeah,
Saving Private Ryan or Hook.
It's there's a lot of directors nowadays.
Absolutely. I wouldn't say there's too many, because there's a lot of stories out there to be told.
I wouldn't say there's too many. I'd say there's too many bad ones in Hollywood.
Yeah, no, the ones that have all the money are being hired. Well, they're hiring the bad directors, and they're ignoring these people. I honestly think studios at this point, in some ways, kind of enjoy the fact that everyone's trying, like begging, working their butts off to get somewhere, to get their stamp of approval,
to get their
their crumbs
cheese.
on the floor. You know what I
I
mean?
don't know. I think the market is so saturated that you have the talent, the actual talented people. They're so few and far between that they're being cherry picked from where they are, and then the other people who have done just good enough to get into a similar position stay just good enough to be in that position.
Yeah.
You think?
Right? And then those people get elevated into being directors, right? Those people who are just good enough to be in a position where they're at without doing more. And so they become directors, and they're subpar directors. So they were just good enough to do what they were doing, and then you get elevated to be a director, and you're not good enough. You don't have the talent, you don't have the creativity, so you just make pretty, mid content.
Reboots and prequels.
That's just my theory.
Spielberg began his career as a professional by directing several episodes for television programs that were being shot at Universal. First among these was the pilot episode of Rod Serling, Night's Gallery, which starred the legendary Hollywood star Joan Crawford.
Nice.
So he got his foot in the door through this short film and Ambulin, and he was working at Universal for quite a while, actually. Then and he actually made some money.
Let's
So
fast forward a little bit.
let's fast forward. I want to get to the part where it says directing what he wanted. So
Jaws right there.
hold on. So when he came up with the Sugarland Express, a drama about a gritty and determined, if somewhat dim, woman played by Goldie Hawn, who I'm confused by this. Is this saying that he came up with this story and he directed it? Her husband into
I'm guessing that's what this means.
a specular carcade. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it looks like his first film that he came out with.
It was a critical success commercial failure.
Okay,
Yeah.
So
there you go. There
It's
you
like
go.
a lot of stuff nowadays. Critical success, commercial failure.
Yeah, so it means the critics were like, "This is awesome."
This is
but
amazing.
nobody wanted to watch it.
Except back then it was probably true. Probably was. It's like, oh yeah, no, this is Hollywood. This is such a good movie.
Uh-huh.
But for some reason it was a commercial failure. Maybe it could come down to marketing.
Yeah. Nonetheless, it led to the breakthrough film of Steven Spielberg's career, the spectacularly successful Jaws of 1974.
Jaws is such a good.
All right. Here's some crazy stats about Jaws. The Jaws, like everyone was getting pissed at Steven because with all of the problems of like filming on the water and trying to film with a small crew and then needing to get more crew for what's required for it, all of the animatronics, that's a big reason why they hid Jaws so much, is because they didn't have the budget to show him too much. You know what I mean?
And I don't think they had more than, one or two props for Jaws himself, the shark.
Mm-hmm. But people were getting pissed, especially at the studios that were funding this project, because he was quickly exceeding his budget. And they ended up spending $3.5 million on Jaws.
Only?
This is one of the best.
Well, no, I think that was the initial budget. He spent more than that.
This is one of the best monster movies, partly because it's scary even when you're on land.
Yeah.
Somehow, even when the characters aren't doing anything, it's still scary knowing there's a shark out there. And the fact that basically everything happens during the daytime.
Yeah.
It's like, how is this such a good movie, such a scary movie, when most of the movie takes place during the day?
I mean, they
that's
made
true.
How many sequels from Jaws?
Yeah.
Like 7, I think. Quite a few.
The second one was
and
like
every single shark film.
and then the rest of them were just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Jaws inspired Shark Week.
Yeah.
Shark Week.
You know what the prop for Jaws' name was? It wasn't animatronic.
Bruce.
It was Bruce.
Yeah.
That's
what Bruce from
That's what
Finding
Pixar
Nemo.
did.
Yeah.
Pixar.
Isn't that fun?
No.
That is fun.
I love it.
So after they finished the film, Spielberg became Hollywood's anointed director of the moment when the film grossed over $60 million in the first month. For a low budget film, technically low budget,
Yeah.
$3 million
mil.
is not that much. Well, let's just round it up to 4. $60 million in the first month. Those are some crazy numbers.
That's impressive.
Think about how much money Jaws has made over
the years.
the whole time.
Yeah. And I love
I mean, it probably doesn't make a lot of money now.
I love
but
this. It says he embarked on a film whose subject had obsessed him since childhood. So he made his money. He got one of the biggest, most successful movies of all time out. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to do the one I want to do, which is Close Encounters. I'm doing an alien movie.
I don't.
That came right after Jaws.
I don't want to harp on this, and I know it's not always right. But what is Spielberg's net worth? I'm just curious of all his films.
Let's Google
because
this.
that's got to be big.
It's got to be high.
E.T., all his newer stuff. It's got to be up there.
Net
$4 billion. It says right there.
Okay, Google says $4 billion US. Do you have a website that gives you more accurate numbers?
No, I was looking at
That's
something else.
Good enough.
Good enough.
I mean, no, that's good enough estimate. That can't be right.
I mean, he's almost right there with Donald Trump. Donald Trump was saying, I have a $7 billion net worth. Steven's right behind him.
Probably.
But after all that money he had to spend on his campaign, probably not as much.
I was looking up something completely different. It doesn't have any bearing. It didn't answer my question.
That's all right. So, yeah, you were saying Close Encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting.
What did you guys think of Close Encounters? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Hold
on, hold on. Hold on, Wyatt. Stop the breathing.
I'm gonna fart.
No, stop that. I literally am planning on watching it like either this weekend or the following weekend.
All right.
It's been in my brain for a while.
It's okay.
I'm gonna watch Close Encounters. I've been looking forward to it.
It's not, and I know I'm probably gonna offend some people here. It's not the best Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as tantalizing now as it was back then. It was my second watch that it really took to get me to understand the movie.
So you're going to be watching it 2 times this weekend. Not once.
Yeah,
You're gonna watch it 2 times.
Maybe I'll watch it twice.
You'll get it. I watched it the first time when I was really young. My mom was like, "Have you guys ever seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind?" And 4-year-old me is like, "No, what's that?" She's like, "Oh, it's like about aliens." and
What's
stuff."
the rating, Mom? It's
She
PG-13.
had no
Okay,
idea.
we're
She had
gonna
no
definitely want to
idea,
watch
so
it.
she just turned it on.
You just turned it on.
I don't know.
So that really launches him into the career where he's in the public eye more so, where we've seen him. We've seen all of his famous work before. Don't push my foot away.
It keeps kicking my knee.
Your knee keeps kicking my foot.
Y'all, his knee is like out here underneath the table, right? With them long giraffe knees.
Joshua's
them knobbly boys, they're out here.
It's the problem is it's not just that you have longer knees. You slouch your lower back and you grab the microphone and put it on your belly and you just. If I started doing this, get back over here, boy. Get back in here. Get back in here. Steven Spielberg started directing movies like Indiana Jones, E.T., Jurassic Park, all the way through the 90s. And then we got Get In Here.
Indiana Jones, arguably his best trilogy.
Trilogy?
Maybe trilogy.
I
don't
didn't care
think
for the second one.
Right.
The third one was
but-
better than I think the first, third, and then the second. Second was not good.
But it's still it's better than a lot of other stuff that's come out.
So when we think about Steven Spielberg's life, his early years, right, before he started creating all the stuff that we know, what are some of the things you're going to be looking for in the Fabelmans? All right, let me show that little boy.
I don't know. I don't have any expectations, but if you go back and watch our reaction to the trailer, it got me a little emotional.
It did. It made you cry. You cried on the studio channel.
Was so emotional.
Yeah.
Some just hit that emotion button.
Yeah, it just presses it.
It was quick too, because one moment Josh is like, "Haha, Jewish joke." Next minute,
Oh yeah.
he goes, "Haha, Jewish."
I forgot about that.
Josh was just like, the Jews.
Haha, the Jews.
Oh.
That's not quite what I.
Oh.
But
And then he ends the video crying. The thing I'm going to be looking forward to the most in the Fabelmans, if it captures it, which I think it will, is I want to see that kind of what they got for this kid. He's got them bright eyes. It's literally the bright eyes. It's the dreamer. It's the I have an idea, and what does my mom think? What does my sisters? What does my dad think?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's called The Fableman.
Yeah, we did a reaction.
I want to look up when it's coming out.
And so I want to see what Josh was saying. He's getting into film, all of his cool ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how does he make an explosion? We saw in the trailer, how does he make a train crash? You know what I mean? And it showed it to us. I mean,
November 11th.
it's awesome. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. I'm looking forward to seeing the relationship with school that was mentioned. That kind of stuff.
He did that. I think Super 8 was a big homage to his
Huge.
train crash thing. Because they have a big, massive train crash in the beginning of the movie. It's so close, you can't see anything. There's tons of stuff happening. Trains going everywhere. You see it from a distance the next day, all the trains. And then the making a train model and blowing it up, right? There's a lot in the movie about the train.
I feel like people slept on Super 8 a little bit.
I think so. Well, no, it won awards and stuff.
Yeah, it was popular when it
Was it?
Yeah, it won awards.
Why do we not talk about Super 8 no more?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's been out for a while.
Been out for a minute.
Now, he was the producer of Super 8.
Well, I mean, you talked about Hook or anything.
He was the producer of Super 8.
It's been out for a while.
I mean, Hook was definitely better than Saving Private Ryan. If we were gonna,
We talked about Hook more than Super 8.
Yeah.
Who was the director of that? Star Trek guy.
Was that
Cloverfield
Abrams?
Lane. Yeah, Abrams directed Super 8.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And Spielberg produced it. And that's the kind of when I was seeing Abrams' work first, and I was like, maybe there's something to this boy.
Yeah.
Abrams.
And then I saw,
at the beginning,
I
he
saw
was
Star
doing
Trek,
great.
and I was like, this is pretty good. And then I saw the first Star Wars, and I'm like, huh. And then, Star Wars declined, and now I don't think I've enjoyed much of any of his stuff.
I've gone
lately.
back and looked at a lot of what he's done, and anything that's involved in a previously established kind of universe or lore.
Yeah.
It's sort of just kind of doing the same thing that was done better by other people.
Yeah.
And making it more today.
Making like the wow factor.
Right.
With today's abilities with technology and visual storytelling. That's Steven Spielberg for the most part.